Hey, my brother. They holding us back, my brother. We got to go, my brother.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Matt Steinman style, the Guru Johnson with you. And we're talking 49ers. They open training camp Wednesday. I mean, here's the way I look at it. If you're a 49er fan, you got to go into this season. You're incredibly hopeful, right?
Oh, my God. I mean, you're one of the top 2-3 team.
So how long are we going to dwell on these losses? Like, once the season starts, they got as good a shot as anybody else, and we move forward and we see if they can get it done this year. But, like, I mean, you're the favorites in the NFC. We'll see what happens if you can run the table. But I think every 49er fan's got to like where they're at right now, despite not getting it done last year.
Yeah, so when you see something happen over and over and it's established how good the Niners are, Steiny, I think you don't get bored, but I think the mental thing about week to week with the Niners is, okay, when the stakes are really, when it's go time and we get, because we're assuming what you just said, Niner fans can pretty much assume they're going to get in the playoffs barring some disaster. Okay, it's hard for me, Steiny, to get up knowing that you're taking that almost for granted. It's like almost wake me up. Well, that's the playoffs. And I'm not saying everybody's like that. I'm not saying, but you got to understand that's how I believe a lot of Niner fans are feeling.
How is any 49er fan, how are you going to enjoy this regular season?
What if they said maybe they don't? Maybe that's where they're at.
So they're going to watch 17 games, and it's not going to be enjoyable even if they win 12 or 13 games. Like, I'm more worried about the psyche of 49er fans.
But now you're digging into it, though. That's kind of not everybody, but a lot of that is there. Of course, you're going to enjoy your team winning, but
I don't think
watching the KD Warriors, we knew before the ball was tipped, but
they're not as good as the Warriors.
But they're having that same success when you go to multiple Super Bowls, and when you do lose, it's at the NFC Championship level. And there's one game a week, partner, and during the other 6 days of the week, you're being told just how great you are. There is a fatigue but that's...
So you just said some 49er fans are saying, wake me when the playoffs start.
I really believe that.
Okay, well, I'm asking those particular fans, like, what are you going to do for 4.5, 5 months? Like, are they going to be 6-1, and we're already going to be saying, well, it's all about the Super Bowl? I mean, I'm being dead serious. If I get being hopeful, but in the NFL, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's anything they can do in the regular season that will make it enjoyable for fans, because fans have already taken it to the
win or
into
bust,
the postseason.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm wondering about.
I feel like let's say we have 5 callers. 3 of the 5 feel that way. I can't speak for them, so we can hear from them. They can call us, but that's just how I'm thinking, Steiny. I mean, nobody's going to throw a party because you beat the Rams in week 3 if if that's who you're playing, because you're one of the best teams in the league. That's been established. It's just about getting that stamp.
Larry's in San Francisco. What's up, Larry? How you doing, man?
Hey, good morning, guys, and happy football season.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Yeah, listen, man. I'm a 49er fan since 1968, okay? And I'm going to just put this real for the 49er fans out there. Listen, we're spoiled since the day of Bill Walsh, when we won that first Super Bowl. And since then, it's been Super Bowl win, Super Bowl. Now we're at a point where we went to a point where we had Coach Mariucci. We were anything but never could win. And then we had those losing seasons until Harbaugh showed up, right? And now, here we are with Brock Purdy. And let's face it, man, we're just spoiled. You know what I'm saying? We won all these Super Bowls, and now we got to a Super Bowl. We lost 2 Super Bowls. Okay, now that one last year, I'm going to be honest, that was the coach's decision. He made the wrong decision. Why would you get a guy like the quarterback for Kansas City, the first play after the overtime? You know what I'm saying? You get the ball first and go down, make them play to you. But that didn't happen. All I'm saying with the 49ers fans, listen, guys, We got a great thing going because sooner or later it's going to be over with. And then we're going to see where you really are as a 49er fan. Because I can tell you some horror stories. After that 73, that 72 season, the Niners were terrible for 6 years until Walsh showed up. With that, I'm out.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate the call. Mike Florio was on with the Morning Roast today, and he addressed the part about Shanahan and whether or not he's snake bit.
You put yourself in Shanahan's shoes. It's always something that keeps you from winning that Super Bowl. It gets to a point where it just drives you nuts. Yeah. And I think you become hyper aware as you get closer and closer to winning a Super Bowl. What is it that's going to happen this time? Here's what happened against Tom Brady and the Patriots. Here's what happened the first time against Mahomes. Here's what happened the second time against Mahomes. No lead is safe. You almost have to be up 41-3 at halftime to finally be able to relax and think, okay, this time it's going to turn out differently and I'm finally going to win.
I don't know how much the players or the coach think like that, or whether the players and the coach are just able to focus on the present. I just don't, like, I think that players probably move past it more quickly than fans do.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? Well, most of them, Debo, Ayuk, Bosa, they're not calling plays. It's Kyle. So I think this is this pressure, if you want to call it that, this cloud is on Kyle and not the players, especially a guy like a Brock Purdy who's not even in his, prime. He's so young and having a stellar performance. But I think this is all on the coach.
Let's go. I want to take a listen to Mike Florio on the pressure that Shanahan and Purdy are under this year.
At some point, when you are standing on the porch, banging on the door, and the door's not opening, I think the longer you bang, the more pressure there is on everyone to finally open the damn door. Now, I'd also say that Purdy probably has a little bit of pressure on him to cement that he's worthy of, a market level contract. I mean, right now it's like, yeah, the guy's going to get a contract after his third year. Okay, we fast forward to February. It's like, well, what's he going to get paid? How much is he going to get? Is it going to start with a 5? Is it going to start with a 4? Is it going to start with a 6? So that's all to be determined based upon what he does this year. And obviously, the more success they have, the more likely, they win the Super Bowl, he's getting a 6 at the front of his contract. And, all these other issues are solved, but you're going to have cap concerns because you got a quarterback who's going to be, at least for a little while, the highest paid player in all of football. So there is some pressure on him to kind of finish the job.
How many 49er fans are feeling like the biggest issue is Brock Purdy? And can Brock Purdy continue to play at a high level? Or do you think it's Shanahan? Or do you think it's some other thing? Because he's at
the top of my list. That was my one, Purdy.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think, I know this is going to be a crazy analogy, but it's like the San Francisco Giants. And here's what I mean. They're 4 games under 500. They're completely mediocre, but you can always say, well, they're still only 3 games back. And it's just a matter of kind of how you look at it. When I look at Brock Purdy and the Niners, I don't see a scenario in which he has a bad year, because the offense with the weapons it has now and the offense that Shanahan has, I do believe Purdy's probably going to be like he was last year or better than he was last year. And will they win the Super Bowl? I don't know if they will. I don't know if they won't. But I don't think it's going to be cut and dry regardless of what happens. I don't think at the end of the year we're going to say, oh boy, Purdy was really bad this year. I don't think a quarterback with any competence is ever going to look bad in a Kyle Shanahan system.
So
I don't.
Yeah. So I guess, Donnie, if somebody asks you your opinion on, do you think Purdy's getting that big contract? It's not about if, it's just about when, because he's not going to fall on his face per se.
You know what's weird is I don't the least of my concerns is what Purdy may make next year.
But isn't that already why you got, if you want to call it whatever, the confrontation, don't you got the Ayuk thing because they're holding money back to pay Brock?
Yeah, but if Brock Purdy stinks this year, then maybe they don't pay him in the first place. I mean,
But
that seems far-fetched to me.
But that's the one component you don't have to help you with the IU situation on the front end.
What do you mean?
Know, like they don't know how Brock's going to look this season, and I do wonder how that, that can't help you with Ayuk right now.
I guess what I'm saying is I feel like we don't know, saying, well, we don't know what's going to happen with Brock Purdy this season. Why do we have more concern about Brock Purdy here than other quarterbacks around the league who are establishing themselves? Like, does anybody, and I know Justin Herbert's in year 4 or 5, but nobody thinks Justin Herbert's going to regress. I just, why, my question would be, why would Brock Purdy regress as a quarterback when he's still able to quarterback this team with this potent offense?
And that's why, again, I think they're going to have double-digit wins, but I do wonder if, where that Niner offense led by him was in the whole playoff run. I'm not putting that all at his doorstep, but it was kind of odd that they looked normal. The whole offense looked normal, wouldn't you say, in the whole playoff run, Steiny?
Yeah, and I think, to me, that's expected when you're going into the playoffs. I think there are very few teams and players who are able to raise their level of play in the postseason because you're playing 3 playoff teams in a row. You're not getting any patsies in the middle. So I just always expect the playoffs to look different than the regular season because the competition's better, and I think you just got to acknowledge that you're playing better teams. Austin's in San Jose. What's up, Austin? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Up,
Listen, do you guys, non-Niner perspective, fan perspective, Steiny, why are we so sure? Well, first question is, why are we so sure that everybody's going to run to pay Brock Purdy $50 million? I know everybody's dropping these numbers around like it's chump change, but I question whether I'm going back to sort of this analysis that the 49ers are competing with themselves. Who else is going to pay him that much money? I don't believe there's too many other teams, maybe less than 3, that would pay Brock Purdy that kind of money. Tell me I'm wrong.
You mean another team other than the Niners?
Yeah, I don't think his value outside of the Niners is anywhere near that. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but please tell me, give me 2 or 3 teams that you feel would pay him right now that kind of money. I don't believe it. And the second thing I wanted to say was each year is different, guys. The players look at it as a new year. Why? Because there's new contracts. This isn't the same team, by the way. Every year is a different team. They've lost guys. There'll be guys leaving this year. These guys are playing for their livelihoods, man. Everybody's lining up to get paid. So this notion that, everybody's coming back and they're excited. Yeah, they're excited. But I guarantee you they're looking at their pay. And Brock Purdy will be thinking about that money, Steiny. I mean, anytime you're going from chump change to the wealth that we're talking about, there's no way he's not thinking about that contract. So, yeah, we got to see what he looks like when that pressure's on, because there will be pressure to say that there's no way that, first of all, to say that there's no way that he regresses, I think is a little bit. I
didn't say that. I said how.
I don't know how you would know that.
How? I'm asking the question: what would his regression look like?
Well, I think the regression would be to play in the NFL. I mean, we got 17 games, and you're assuming that he's going to go out and play the same way or equal to the same way he played last year. Let's be honest. In the playoffs, guys, and Guru, you remember I called you and told you that Green Bay was going to be a problem, and you poo-pooed it until you saw that they were. But here's my point, man, is that every year everybody's getting better. He closed his eyes. I know this is going to sound rough, but he closed his eyes and threw the ball down the field. And luckily, Ayuk caught the ball, remember?
Yeah.
If Ayuk doesn't catch that ball, think about this, guys. If Ayuk doesn't make that miraculous catch, and it's odd that he's the man that's got to wait for his money right now, but if he doesn't make that catch, you think for a second that Kyle Shanahan wouldn't have been on the phone checking other quarterbacks out, you're crazy. So Ayuk saved a lot of things from happening, and I can't believe that Ayuk is the guy that's now got to plead for his money. So everybody wants Purdy to be paid. Ayuk's got to be paid because he's the one that maybe saved the season for the Niners. That's all I got.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate the call.
And Snotty, I feel like I love Austin. He said a lot of what I've been saying. Like what scares me or very perplexing about this Niner team was how pedestrian the offense was throughout the playoffs. I know you say, Goo, it's better teams, but damn it, Green Bay got hot, okay? But they came in here and almost took it from you, and the offense looked, so.
And I think I could say Kansas City's offense in the Super Bowl was pedestrian. They just happened to win the game. I mean, they held Mahomes to 19 points. The Chiefs and Mahomes to 19 points. I think it's like that's what happens when you play better teams, I think. The 49ers defense played well enough to win the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. And if the Niners end up winning that game, then I think everybody's saying about the Chiefs, what happened to their offense? Yeah. Well, they played a pretty good defense who played him straight up for a game.
Let me say one thing to Austin, Stein, if he's still listening. It doesn't matter how valuable Brock Purdy is to anybody else. The market is what it is, and he's the quarterback of the Niners, Austin. And right now, his 2 years, outside of Mahomes, give me another quarterback that's as won and done as much as Brock Purdy. So my point is he's going to get paid for that if he has another year like that. So the question of, because I don't believe Brock Purdy could go to Dallas or some other locale, the Vegas, and this is no shade, and he's a Dan Marino type of quarterback. I believe he's with the GOAT of play calling and bringing the best out of you, i.e. Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan. So that's what it's all about. He's going to get paid for being a Niner quarterback. And right now, I don't know if you could give me a more valuable person on this roster for what the Niners are trying to do than Brock Purdy.
I disagree with the notion that if the 49ers don't pay Purdy, that nobody else will pay him. I think another team will pay him. I don't know if it'll be 60, but I think the idea of
would he be as good? I don't believe so. That's giving credit to Kyle.
Exactly, and there we go again. We've seen Kyle Shanahan get something out of Garoppolo and get something out of Purdy.
Yes.
So why is he the one that hasn't been able to get it done? Because I could make a case that no other coach in the NFL would have been able to take the Niners to the Super Bowl with those two guys. Like, nobody would have been able to win a Super Bowl with those two guys, and maybe other coaches wouldn't have even been able to coach this 49er team as far as Shanahan did.
Okay, those are all facts. But the bottom line still is he calls the plays. 2019 Super Bowl, you had the ball last, and you called this bigger than the quarterback. You called pass plays when they couldn't. You were just gashing them on the ground. Those are sequences to me, Steiny, where you can look at the coach or the offensive coordinator at that juncture, like, why is Steiny calling this at the most important time of the game and second guess? And every coach, that's what it's about. And I believe Kyle has failed at that at the most important times and kicking the ball in overtime. Those are decisions that come down.
Well, then why don't you move on? If you don't think he can get it done and he's come up short time and time again, like, that's kind of where I'm at with Kyle Shanahan. If it's just so easy to say on the one hand, this is a play calling genius, and I say it, any team would take him,
right? And
this, that, and the other thing. But then we harp on, well, he didn't throw a flag here, and he didn't know the overtime rule there, and he called the running plays when he should have passed, and he called passing plays when they should have run. Okay, well, be bold then and say you want another coach. You know what I mean? Like, if you truly believe Kyle Shanahan is snake bit and he can't win the big one, why would you keep him as a coach if you really don't think he can get it done? But the reality is, I think we all know he can get it done.
Interesting.
One team wins. What's the old thing? If you flip a coin, it's 50-50. So if you get heads twice in a row, that happens 25% of the time. If you get heads 3 times in a row, it's harder and harder the odds go being 0-2 in the Super Bowl, to me, that's nothing to me. I just don't view that as anything.
And the losses in the NFC championship games.
Now all of a sudden
it's in my gumbo.
So now it's on Kyle Shanahan, even though even though 90% of 49er fans said, well, if Brock Purdy doesn't get knocked out against the Eagles, we win that game. Well, how's that on Shanahan?
Okay. No, I'm just telling you how I think. He didn't throw a flag in that game early. You got to be ready. And Brock Purdy might not have got hurt had you thrown that flag and took that touchdown, that play off the board. You didn't do it. But after what happened, after the quarterback got hurt, how can you blame Kyle? It was over.
Well, I'm not blaming Kyle.
I'm
when
going
we
to
lose
the Ram game up 10 points in the fourth quarter on the road.
Okay.
And Tart did drop that ball, but at the end of the day, it's just like it's a theme. But I'm not ready to throw him out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think it's a theme.
I'm not there, Steiny.
Oh, I'm not there that it's a theme, I guess is what I'm saying. That there's a theme that Kyle Shanahan snake bit.
Is there a story? Can you understand the story?
I can understand the Niners lost 2 Super Bowls to a team with Patrick Mahomes quarterbacking. And I would say, I'm not saying it shouldn't be disappointing. I'm not saying you don't have the right to kick yourself if you're a 49er fan, but I don't see anything inherent in Kyle Shanahan's strategy, in his approach, in the way he coaches, that's going to prevent him or the 49ers from winning a Super Bowl. And you know what? Like, if somebody out there does, if Jed York really thinks that, he's got to fire him.
Right.
But I guarantee you,
he doesn't.
Right.
That's just right.
Right. So I would think most people would think that they don't believe Kyle Shanahan is snakebit right now. He just ran into a better team in 2 Super Bowls, had some misfortune against the Eagles when Purdy got hurt.
But that sounds good until you watch how the games played out, partner. You're under the impression Mahomes, I can't win. You're right. But Steiny, Mahomes can lose a football game. He's not a machine. And when you watch those games on the biggest stage, kudos for the Niners. For Steiny, they were in the lead. And I don't think it's too far-fetched for a Niner fan to be mad as hell.
I never said they shouldn't be.
To not take away from Mahomes' greatness, but for you to say it was Mahomes, that doesn't mean we got to ignore what we saw. That team should have won that, to me. They should have won that Super Bowl last year.
You never should win a game if you don't win the game.
But if you got to win the game, you can expect to win the game, Steiny.
It's football, okay?
What does that mean, though, when you're up?
It means if you want to,
are you going to throw rocks at me because I think any team that has a 10-point lead late in the third, are you going to tell a fan that's upset that got away? Like, that blows your wig? Like, the closer you get, you expect to, when the tough gets going, or the going gets tough, the tough gets, come on. You just cavalierly say it was 10-point lead. It's Mahomes, but there's plays that the world watched.
They didn't make them.
Blew it. Okay.
See, there it is. Niners blew it. I do not believe the Niners blew it. I believe the Chiefs made the plays they had to make to win the Super Bowl.
So when the ball bounces on the punt and hits the Niner players and it's a turnover, when the Niners were going to get the ball, you could tell me that's snake bitten. That wasn't Kyle's fault, but you got to do better. Like, that changed the game.
Okay, to me, that's a fluke play. How many times did that happen?
And the Chiefs turned it into points.
Exactly, because they're good.
Reason why. I just think you're over there, and this is how I look at it, Steiny. And why I feel some type of way about in life, forget football, in life, you get so many opportunities.
Right.
You get blessed so many times. You're assuming that this Super Bowl opportunity is going to be there.
No,
and
I'm not.
a lot.
I'm absolutely
I feel
not
that way, though, about it.
I'm absolutely not. I just know we've done 90 minutes, and all we've done is talk about the last 5 years and the 49ers' shortcomings. And it's like, we're getting ready to start training camp. It's like they're back to square one. They got something to prove. They're in the mix. They have as good a shot to win the NFC as any other NFC team.
Yeah.
And, again, I'm being dead serious with Niner fans. Are they going to start 5-0 and everybody just says, well, they tricked off Super Bowls in the past, so I'm not going to get excited this year.
Or fatigued. How about that? You think some of Niner fans are going to be fatigued? Even if they go 6-2, Steiny, they're going to be happy, but there's going to be a feel, I know it, of we're 6-2, but talk to me when the offs come. Yeah. That's what happens when you're good and don't get it done or you get close.
Okay, and we'll keep harping on that. Right. I mean, the problem is that We harp on that way more than they harp on it. They're on to 2024 right now.
No, I'm not saying they're not. Come on now, Steiny. I believe that.
Well, then, so who cares what the fans think?
Well, we do a show based on it.
But they're irrelevant in terms of the success and the failure of the 49ers.
Well, we're going to watch Kyle and Steiny. I'm just telling you here, we'll see if this pressure or this narrative, we'll find out if it changes him. Or, well, that was a head scratcher, or if he's less aggressive or whatnot. But you know when a guy is pressing in sports, either a coach.
Okay, you tell me when Kyle's pressing this year. Download the Odyssey app directly from our QR code on both YouTube and Twitch. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer.